Hey everyone, welcome to our first weekly show. Derek here, and I'm here with McKenzie in the studio, and we're recording what we are looking forward to being weekly commentary. Weekly commentary on the pieces, the episodes that we put out each week, our interviews with guests as we bring on guests each and every week, and or commentary on things that we see in the news, things that we think are interesting, things that we think you would appreciate or want to know about. So we've got a weekly newsletter that we put out. McKenzie does a great job of curating this newsletter with things that we want you to know. So this will be our opportunity to comment on that and bring that up and talk about those things. So McKenzie, welcome to our first weekly episode.
Awesome. Thanks, Derek. Yeah, I'm really excited to get this going and to have everyone be part of the show.
Absolutely. So I'm excited. We're going to dive in. You know, one of the first things, so we're sort of in the space where we are relaunching the podcast. So as you know, McKenzie, I had done this back in 2017, and I went back and I was listening to some of the episodes. I'm like, oh man, it was just me in the kitchen, piecing it together, having commentary, reading through articles and things. And it was fun. It was really fun. Then I slowly started to interview guests, and I loved doing that. I had a really great time. There was a lot of work kind of as a DIY podcast. I think that I need to still do, to make the audio better, but we're going to try to keep this one good and high quality. But the last episode that I recorded was back in 2019. It was with Big Tony Alvarez over at Volcom. He was the head of social compliance over there. Him and I did a lot of great work together. And to me, that was a really fun interview. But since then, it's been quiet and kind of went dark, and I haven't put out a lot of new content over here. So I'm excited to dive in, and I'm excited, McKenzie, to sort of to get your perspective on things as well. You and I come from two different generations, so I think it'll be fun to get hear our different perspective on things. What is your take? What are you looking forward to about these weekly shows? What have you enjoyed putting together with those newsletters and with the content that you put together for our members and our member resource center? Give me a little insight into what you're hoping for these weekly meetups.
Yeah. I'm excited because there's so much happening in the space. When it comes to sustainability and climate action, it's like there's always a new story coming out. There's a new innovation. There's a new collaboration. And honestly, it can be a lot to keep up with. So I understand that a lot of people out there who are in the industry, or maybe they're just a consumer who's passionate, but they have other responsibilities. They can't keep up with the news. They can't keep up with the latest and greatest. So I think that's what I'm most excited about, is to kind of bring the important stories forward and keep people in the loop.
That's exactly what we're going to try to do. The first sort of as part of a rebranding for this Good Things Happening podcast, I put out our anniversary interview that you did, where you interviewed me to kind of get some history of the Underswell and how it started, where we were going, etc. So for those of you watching right now, be sure to go back in and check out that episode. I think it's a fun one. McKenzie had some great questions for me, and it was just sort of, I think, your honest approach of trying to learn more. You and I have been working together. You've been doing a lot of the work here for me for a couple of years now. And right, I think you were just trying to get some insight onto how it all started after 7 years, right?
Yeah. It's been so fun being part of the Underswell for almost 2 years now. 2 years in June. But yeah, I think a lot of people are interested in, well, how did the Underswell start? I mean, our business model is so unique and the idea is so unique that it's like, yeah, how did Derek even come up with this? This is such a out of the box idea. And, really being a small organization, it's like we have so much growth opportunity. So it's really exciting to hear from your perspective as the founder where we're going to be going over the next few years.
Well, so for those of you interested, or you want to hear sort of about our unique approach, be sure to go check out that 7-year anniversary episode. Also, if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast player or wherever we might be in your earbuds right now, but you can also watch this on YouTube. We're putting these videos up on YouTube as well. And I'm happy to say, at least as of the other day, we had just hit 500 subscribers, which is tiny, but that was good for us. And I'm really excited about that. And this is, it's a platform that I want to continue to grow. So if you like watching stuff on YouTube, be sure to go hit us up over there. We have put together on our website too, for those of you that might not be familiar with what we do, we've got courses, we've got training. We are really about empowering you to understand sustainability better. We call it the art of understanding sustainability. We want you to be as well versed in this space so that you can manage those complexities that McKenzie was talking about, so that you can sort of settle in and understand what the problems are, what the solutions are, who they're coming from, what certifications are good, what the history of it is. We've got a very, I think, easy to follow and effective training program. It's a series of courses that we put together. And right now I'm really excited because, McKenzie, we just put this up on social media and on the website, but we're offering our self-guided program where people can take the courses, on their own. Typically we do these guided programs where I work with groups and brands or companies and I work with them each week, but we really pulled it out and made it accessible so that for a lower cost, either you as an individual or your company as a group can go through all of those learning courses that we put together on your own, self-paced. It's all on demand. We give you tons of resources, and you become a member of our member resource community as well, where McKenzie every week is adding new solutions, innovations, news, additional videos, etc. So you've got this support center with other people, but you become a member and you get access to your courses on your own time. We put a limit on it because we want you to get through it at a certain time. We don't want you to just buy it or subscribe and sit on it. But right now the special is that if you sign up people in your organization for the self-guided program, then we're going to jump in and give you a master class as well that's open virtually to your entire organization. Where I come in, I've got this mini master class. It's a sustainability master class. It's about an hour long, and I'll run through everything, kind of the top to bottom, fast-paced, get your team excited and fired up about sustainability so that they can themselves become intrigued. So it's sort of this 2-for-1 package, right? Where you get your self-guided courses for 10 people, 25 people, 50 people, however many you want to sign up for, and you get that masterclass. So I'm excited about that. McKenzie, we're going to try to keep this one might be a little bit longer, but probably about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes each week, just so people can get this short little dose. So let's dive in now to some of the stuff that you have come up with that we know is in the news, as we call it. We're going to break these weekly episodes into kind of what's in the news. What are your favorite brands, companies, or nonprofits doing in this space when it comes to sustainability, responsible business, or the sustainable development goals? And then maybe put a spotlight on different things, on different either things that we're featuring or that we're hearing about that we know that you can hopefully apply in your daily journey. So with that, McKenzie, I'm going to switch it over to you. What's on the list this week for that you want people to know about?
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks for all that, Derek. And I'm really excited about this week's stories. I did a lot of digging, and actually some weeks are harder than others where, you've really got to dig to find the jewels and find some good stories. But this week it was just a gold mine. There was a ton of good stuff happening in the space. So first story that I think we should touch on is Vice News did a great piece called California's Disappearing Lakes. So
yeah, and what was that all about? I mean, from what I found, it's part of this their Abandoned series that they put together, and it looks like it first came out 2016. But I mean, these are still very relevant, applicable, and it's with that sort of characteristic Vice spin. I'm so sad to know that I think Vice is bankrupt and we won't be seeing their Vice News anymore. But essentially, this one is really relevant still now, right? This idea of these disappearing lakes. Give us some insight.
Yeah, definitely. So this episode was on the Salton Sea and Owens Lake that are in, I believe, the southeast part of California. And as most people know, in California, we've been in, I think it's been about a 25 year drought. So there's just been, and even with the rainfall that we had this winter, which was, record breaking, the effects of the drought are not going away anytime soon. And so even though this series is a few years old, I think it's still just as relevant to know that it's like we're not really making progress on our drought, and water continues to be an issue in California. And really, what are we going to do about it? What is our state going to do about it? What are we as consumers going to do about it? And there's yet to be a good solution to figure out what we're going to do.
Well, what I appreciated too, I think, from watching it was that it touches on a lot of these things that we talk about throughout the courses, right? Whether it's eutrophication, algae blooms, toxicity, desertification, all of these things sort of happening in real life, right? And right before our eyes. And you can sort of project this out to other regions, where these
Hmm.
communities become really desolate. And what's fascinating about the reporting that they do is they find sort of the beauty in it, the people who still love living there, but
Hmm.
their way of life is basically kind of eroding or drying up, right before their eyes, literally. And it's just sad. And I think one of the hosts goes out and interviews some high school kids. And I think they said, hey, eventually all of this dust, so they get these dust storms, right? As all the river starts to dry, the lake starts to dry, it leaves this sort of arid dust at the bottom, that is they think toxic.
Hmm.
And they're saying, hey, until this toxic dust becomes so abundant that it starts to hit LA, once people in Los Angeles start getting affected, then they'll care and then they'll come help us out here. But I think it brings up I was sort of glued to it, just like, oh my gosh, I couldn't stop watching. But it's sort of heartbreaking and eye opening at the same time. It's got good skateboarding in it. It's got a little bit of everything, always good music. So yeah, I'm glad you put that in there. Have a look at that, you guys, if you haven't watched any of that series. McKenzie, you were mentioning there was another one on nuclear reactors, abandoned nuclear
Yeah.
reactors. So this episode really kind of like looks at what happens when we abandon these things or places become abandoned because of ecosystem or biodiversity impacts that occur. So pretty
Right.
interesting.
Yeah, and the people that are affected by it. So it's always important for us to keep in mind the environmental and social impacts of our actions.
Yeah, and the people that are affected by it, and the community, and then those neighboring communities, and it
Hmm.
just continues to go on. So as we always say in all of our courses and trainings, it's all connected. Everything is connected. It's all tied together. What else did you find this week? And by the way, you guys, as you're listening, we will be sure. So the thought here is that as we talk about all of these things, we'll put these down in the show notes for you, so you can go down and get the links to all of these stories quickly, link to all of them, and watch them on your own time. But McKenzie, what else? What else do we want people to know about this week?
Yeah, definitely. I think next story that we should cover is the Levi's Well Thread collection and their collaboration with Nature Coatings and their innovation, which is Black Biotex or TX. I'm assuming that's text, but Black Biotex.
And I'm going to pull that up real quick too, so people can see that. You'll be able to see it on the screen here for those of you guys watching the videos. But here it is: Nature Coatings and Levi's Well Thread reveal a new partnership, spring summer 2023. And that Levi's Well Thread program, before we dive into Nature Coatings and their Bio Black TX, which is 100% bio-based, certified, high-performing, and carbon-negative black pigment made from wood waste. So I think there's a lot to unpack in there. But the Levi's Well Thread campaign is kind of cool because that was their approach to, for a while they were doing that waterless campaign where they were really focused on reducing water impacts after they did their LCA, their life cycle assessment, and found their biggest water footprint was back in their raw materials sourcing and in consumer use. That sort of evolved then into this more holistic sustainability approach that in fact tackled water use and hazardous chemicals and sustainable materials and worker well-being, and they called it Well Thread. So you can look for that registered tagline that they use. But this Nature Coatings, McKenzie, what did you uncover, if anything, about who is Nature Coatings and what is this Bio Black TX? Were you able to pull anything together on that?
Yeah, so like you said, Derek, it's made from wood waste. So the really cool thing is they take wood waste from FSC certified forests and they're repurposing it, taking waste from one industry and repurposing it for not just the apparel industry or the garment industry, but on their website, there are hundreds of applications that you can use the Bio Black TX for.
I'm looking at this. When I look at their website, Nature Coatings is doing some really neat things. And essentially they are, if we go to their homepage here, they're talking about waste. They're trying to put waste, to use. So they're saying that they're revolutionizing the chemical industry by using waste materials to create bio-based, safe, and renewable solutions that benefit the planet and humanity. We're driven by a simple yet powerful belief: we can create everything we want without harming the environment and without sacrificing performance or cost. And this Bio Black TX, as you said, we put the image here on, you'll see it over on the YouTube site, but Bio Black TX is a carbon negative black pigment from wood waste. We created it's 100% bio-based, certified. And so carbon negative, it's free of fossil fuels. And my thought is that their black pigment locks up more carbon than it emits. So removing additional carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and countering greenhouse gas emissions. They're saying that their efforts are validated and evaluated by trustworthy third-party organizations like FSC, the Forestry Stewardship Council, the ZDHC, Zero Discharge of Hazardous Chemicals Working Group, Okotex, their Eco Passport, and the USDA certified bio-based products. So they've got 4 great certifications with high standards that they are using and adhering to. They're saying that this is free of fossil fuels. It's fully traceable, high performing, safe to touch and wear, no detected PHAs or carcinogens in Bio Black TX, and that it's renewable. So it's made from renewable sources as opposed to petroleum-based alternatives. So this is pretty cool, and it's great to see Levi's doing this and partnering. We're a big fan, obviously, of when we see collaborations like this happening and when the two companies are using their marketing expertise to tell the story and to try to get it out there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's great, the whole Levi's Well Thread collection, or this new rendition of the Well Thread collection. I think there's a lot of good work that they're doing. One of the cool things about the collection is they're actually introducing cotton in transition to the line as well, which, Derek, as you know, I am a very avid supporter of. So yeah, I think there's a lot of good stuff.
Well, let's talk about that. Talk about cotton in transition. Why are you such a fan?
Yeah, I think, so for us to scale the amount of organic cotton that's on the market right now, we've got to invest in farmers transitioning to organic. So for our listeners who may not know, typically for a farm to become organic, it takes 3 years to clear the land of any pesticides, GMO seeds, anything like that. And then from there, farmers can start growing organic cotton or hemp or whatever the fiber may be. And that will greatly increase the amount of organic fiber that we have on the market.
Yeah, so within that 3 years, right, they've got to wait, and they can't really sell it as organic until that 3 years passes,
Right.
like you said. So this allows them to sell that cotton in its first year or second year of transition. As it's transitioning, still sort of gets some premium without the final certification. So it's a great way to support farmers on their journey. So I love it. And you can find cotton in transition in the apparel or textile industry and also in the food industry, which is great. So with that, so we'll put the link to that so you guys can go learn more. The other thing, to note, McKenzie mentioned, is this whole program. It says it's the plant-based indigo across all denim, made using 100% organic or 100% transitional cotton. They put the styles that it's included in there as well. And then the use of this Bio Black TX is in there as well. So be sure to check that out. All right, and then for our last piece here for the show, McKenzie, this week, it starts with 3 Bs. You've got a good find in here. This one's pretty fun. What's our last piece here?
Yeah, this one I am very excited about, and I think ice cream lovers will probably be excited about as well. For anybody familiar with Ben & Jerry's, their co-founder, Ben Cohen, has just released his new cannabis brand called Ben's Best Blenz, or B3 as they call it on their website.
And I love it because he's sort of taken that Ben and Jerry's, sort of advocacy approach and awareness, and they're taking a really stand on justice and making that the centerpiece for their brand, right? And sort of having a responsible approach and message, not only environmental but social, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a really important part of, or I shouldn't even say important part. I think that's a core foundational part of Ben & Jerry's business model has always been advocacy, activism, and speaking up for what's right, whether it's popular or not. So they're kind of taking that same ideology and applying it to this new brand that's centered on cannabis. And I think the great thing is they're really trying to tackle the impacts of the war on drugs and how that has negatively impacted the Black community.
Yeah, and I just pulled up their, pulled up their website where they're saying that justice is what love is in public. I think it said,
I
and then
think so.
yeah, and it's great. Our mission is to sell great pot and use the power of our business to right the wrongs of the war on drugs. So they've got a really cool looking website. Angela Davis quote here: "I am no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I'm changing the things I cannot accept," which is really cool. And they've got a great sort of, it says, great pot produced by some of the most conscientious independent growers around. No non-organic fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, or pesticides. No non-organic anything. So pretty cool, pretty wild looking website. Lots of colors. And like McKenzie said, righting the wrongs of the war on drugs. And they've got a statistic here. Despite using cannabis at the same rate, Black people have been arrested at 4 times the rate of white people. We don't want people continuing to suffer for a crime that is now legal. So they advocate to decarcerate, expunge, and deschedule. They've got a whole list of statistics on here. McKenzie, do you know, asking for a friend, do you know anybody who's tried Ben's Best Blenz?
I do not personally. I know if there's a great interview that Ben Cohen did with Forbes that's on YouTube, talking about how great their blends are. And I think they have 5 different blends. But I'm very eager to get Ben's Best Blends out here in California and hear what the word is on the street.
Yeah, and interesting. They're registered in Vermont as a nonprofit organization, so that's interesting. And licensees pay us for a royalty in exchange for the use of our formulas, packaging, and trademarks. 100% of these royalties after expenses are used to help right the wrongs of the war on drugs. They've got their board of trustees listed here with a whole bunch of notable people. It looks like in the Black community, Killer Mike is on the board of trustees, which is cool. Killer Mike's been doing some great advocacy work as well. But it's Phil Agnew, Dr. Derek Hamilton, Jesse Horton, Nina Turner, and then Killer Mike. And then the B3 team is Ben as the vice president and Irene Kim. It's just kind of a really fun, funky looking website. So if you're looking for something socially conscious, environmentally conscious, that's kind of fun, and that's taking a stand on an issue that is important, then go check out Ben's Best Blends. We'll leave the show notes there, the link in the show notes for you. So I think that's it for this week. This is kind of what we want to do. Have quick little conversations. We will continue to evolve. We want to make sure that you know that we are adding things to our member resource center every week, that we've got a great newsletter that puts these things and more in them every week. So hit subscribe. If you subscribe right now and you're not already on our newsletter site, get over to the link. We'll give you a free guide. It's a 35 things that we think you need to know when it comes to sustainability so that you can have some core vocabulary under your belt. All of this is about continuing to learn, being exposed to this, and making it a part of your everyday conversation. We're trying to normalize the sustainability and climate action conversation so that it is no longer left to just the sustainability experts that aren't even in the room. I used to be one, and I want everybody having this conversation, and this is why we're doing this. So hopefully that helped. Be sure to check back soon. We've got some great, I'm not going to spoil it yet. We're not dropping any names, but we've got some great insiders at really good brands that you have heard of and will love to give you interviews as to what kind of things they are working on, the challenges they face, the victories they've got, what their career paths look like. So stay tuned. Hang in there with us while we get these under our belt right now. Go back and listen to all the old episodes. But for now, that's it from me. McKenzie, anything else from you?
No, that's it for me. Thank you all for listening to us. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next episodes to come.
All right. Well, then I'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Sounds good. Bye, guys.
All right.